Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
What's up, everybody? Friday Face-Off here. We got Jeffrey J. Lavecchio and myself, and we're going to talk about a controversial topic. This is a topic that a lot of people gets them fired up. Let's say it gets them fired up, to say the least, and that's fighting in hockey. Ooh. Is there a place for fighting in hockey nowadays? There's not as much as there used to be, to say the least. But is there a place in fighting in hockey? And we just had a Royal Rumble of sorts in the US-Canada game a couple weeks back, where 3 fights in the first 10 seconds of the game. The Tkachuk boys going at it with a couple boys on the Canadian team, and then JT Miller and Colton Parayko, your boy there in St. Louis, also a really good fight. And so obviously a controversial topic here. There are some people that think fighting should be out of the game at any capacity. There are some people that think fighting is good for the game. So let's have a conversation about fighting in hockey. Jeffrey, pro, anti, where you at? What's your thoughts on fighting in hockey, man?
If we're talking pro hockey, professional hockey, 100% pro. Professional sports are fan driven. Without fans, there's no money. Without money, no one gets paid. Without being paid, it's not a professional sport. I have not seen hockey being shared far and wide, other than maybe, the US Canada Olympic gold medal games that happen every couple years. Other than that, I have not seen hockey being shared far and wide by hockey people, and even more importantly, non-hockey people all over the TV, all over social media, than the US-Canada first game in the Four Nations Cup, where there was the fights in the first 9 seconds. It was everywhere. It was so cool to see. It was so good for the game. So, yeah, again, more fans, more money, better sport, bigger sport. Sport keeps going. That trickles down to younger people wanting to play the sport. However, I do think that below pro hockey, there probably shouldn't be fighting. Just with, and I know that most fights in hockey, or most concussions in hockey, do not come from fighting. They come from hits or pucks to the face, things like that. But anecdotally, through my own career, through all my friends' careers, like when you've got somebody on the team that can fight and stick up for the rest of the boys, that makes the game way safer in the way that the game is played. And there aren't guys kamikazing out there trying to hit guys in the head or run guys over or murder guys. When you have that threat of, oh man, they got guys on the other team at all different weight classes that will jump you immediately if you blow somebody up, the game is played a lot different, and it's a lot safer for everybody. So the pro level, I definitely think there should be fighting for those reasons. I fought in juniors, not a lot, but I got a couple fights, and I would have fought in college if my coach would have let me, gave me the green light once, and then rescinded it against Northern Michigan. But I don't know, man. I think below pro, unless you're being paid and you're a legal adult and you can make that decision, knowing what we know now about concussions and things like that, and the long-term ramifications of multiple concussions or really bad ones, especially being somebody who has unfortunate knowledge in that category. I think that maybe below pro. I just think that it should be like you're kicked out of that game. There's got to be something where there's going to be fights still. It's not a terrible penalty where you miss the whole season. I don't believe in like crazy suspensions for fighting, but like there needs to be something where like you're kicked out of the game, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think for everybody out there that's listening, and I'll talk to the people who maybe haven't played hockey or haven't played hockey at a higher level. There's a very different mentality of players when fighting is allowed versus when it's not allowed. And what I mean by that is you have to be careful with what you do when there's fighting allowed, because if you do something dumb, you're going to have to pay for it. You go cross-check a guy, you go do a cheap shot, all the things like you said that give concussions. Like there's going to be somebody on the other team that you're going to have to answer to. and just thinking about like when I was playing junior hockey and fighting is much more prevalent in juniors and then playing pro hockey after college. Like if you go into a game against a team that has fighters and you know that that's a potential possibility, you're thinking about that going into that game, you know, and you have to play the right way or else you're going to have to answer the bell.
Dude,
at the end
playing against your junior team when you had Clacker on the team, Matt Claxon, who wound up being my roommate, one of my best friends at Western Michigan. And then the year after you left, your freshman year was my last year in USHL. They had both meatheads. They had both Claxons, Matt Claxon and Chris Claxon. And everybody knew they could both throw right and left and hit and fight and were willing to fight anybody. I definitely play differently in games where against teams like that, where they had multiple guys who were willing, wanted to, and were really good at it. You're like, I might play this one a little differently tonight. It's in the back of your head, man.
Yeah. And I do think that sticking up for your teammates and being able to stick up for your teammates, that's kind of what hockey's all about. Yeah. You know, like it's a team sport. I love hockey because of that sense, right? It's a place where you bond with the players that you're playing with. And when you have a team culture, like put it this way, if you're playing for a team and somebody gets cheap shotted in pro hockey and nobody does anything about it, I'm going to tell you that that's a losing team. That's a team that's a losing team. And that's a team that they don't really give a crap about each other. On the other hand, like the winning teams, you get somebody that like gets close to even, maybe they don't even hit the goalie, but they kind of bump the goalie. And then like three guys are right on top of that person for doing that. Like that's a team that they understand the value of team and they're probably pretty tight in the locker room. And having the ability to stick up for your teammates when they've been wronged, I think that's what hockey is all about at the end of the day. That team camaraderie, team toughness, that's a cool thing. And when you're a part of a team that has that, like that's awesome. That's unreal. Like when you're a part of teams where people stick up for each other, there's no greater feeling in the world. Everybody's got each other's backs, man. And like, if you don't do it, then you're an outcast almost, you know, like you're the weakling of the group and like, you're probably not going to fit in. And so, I think from the entertainment perspective in pro hockey, again, like we both played pro hockey. When do people cheer the most? It's when there's a freaking fight going on. You know, it's like obviously the goals, but like they cheer just as hard for the goals as they do for the fights.
Harder.
Maybe hard. Yeah, harder. Exactly. And so like from an entertainment value, and again, you like this game with the Americans and the Canadians with the three fights, like, dude, like social media went nuts, especially because it was the same day or day after or before the NBA All-Star game. And everybody's like, dude, like basketball, you suck, you know, like hockey, this is unbelievable. And
finger hurts.
Yeah. I do not like fighting in hockey, even at the pro level when it's a staged BS kind of thing. There's no reason for that. I mean, maybe the entertainment value, but like for me, the safety of the 270-pound dudes chucking knucks, like that's secondary to me. Like I don't love that part of the game. And I think for the most part, that part of hockey is out. Now, if you're doing it for momentum for your team, like when to fight in pro hockey is an art. Like there's guys that understand and know when to do it, when not to do it, right? Like if your team is not doing very well and there's another guy on the other team that nobody likes, then you go pick a fight with them to get momentum. Like you love that in hockey.
Trent Frederick's really good at that. One of my clients, he's really good at knowing when he needs to do it and when not to, when the boys need it. Like when do the guys need it? He's really good at knowing that.
Yes, there's an art to that. He is great at that, isn't he? And he's one of those guys. If you listen to our short shifts about how to get get in the skin of the other team's top players, pretty good at that. So much so to the point where we had T. Freddie on the podcast years ago, the day after Ovechkin cup checked him with his stick. You remember that?
Nutted him so hard.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think in youth hockey there should be any fighting. No, there should not be any fighting.
Juniors college?
I personally, I think there should be fighting in college. It's never going to happen.
I wish there was as a player.
Dude, how the fans like for that would be insane. absolutely insane. But it also would clean the game up too. There's a lot of ticky-tacky, stupid crap that goes on, headshots and all that kind of stuff, because everybody's wearing cages.
Yep.
Like there's not a deterrent to be cheap, other than a really severe penalty at the end of the day. So I wouldn't mind fighting in college. Junior hockey, I could probably be persuaded either way. Again, I do think it makes the game safer.
I like it, but I have such a hard time being on the other side now of tons of concussions where
you never got a concussion from fighting, Vex.
No, I had one
One from fighting. Okay.
One.
So that's
in practice.
In
like,
practice, of course.
Stupid. Yeah. Like stupid. Why did I got dummy by a guy who's 6'5"? Like why
how many of your concussions that you got came from being cheap shotted where there was probably a fight that happened right after that?
At least two.
Yeah.
I took a lot of pucks to the face with concussions. Yeah, but two where I talked about one of them on the podcast last week, I think, where I got elbowed from behind, shoulder checked left, got elbowed from behind on the right, and had 6 small fractures in my jaw. They tried to wire my jaw shut, and I refused. I said, no, it'll heal.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we got to get out of the game. And you either get that stuff out of the game by fighting, or you get that stuff out of the game by suspending that person for the same amount of time that you're going to be out.
Right.
It's got to be severe, like very, very severe. And that's hard because sometimes in the heat of the moment, like a clean hit and a dirty hit, like it's really hard for the ref to discern what that is when it's going so fast. And that's where video can potentially come in. And even though like the Department of Player Safety, like they have a very hard job because not every hit was created equally. You have to have a standard. It's got to be objective, not subjective. And that's really hard when it comes to these penalties and these hits. So yeah, man, like I think and again, as a skilled player, when I was in it and in junior hockey and then in pro hockey, like I think fighting is a part of it. You talked about it from the entertainment standpoint, but also it makes you feel safer to be able to go and play your game when you know you have people on your team that are going to have your back if something like that happens. And as a player, you have like there's a deterrent in your head to do something stupid because you know something is going to happen on the other side of it. So
and it's just like when like when you're able to say to somebody like who's like playing a little cheap and like starting to like do dirty stuff, like hockey is very fast, and like at the high levels, junior, but for sure college and pro, guys are very, very strong, and like you're going at top speed like 25 miles an hour on these little tiny blades where you move the wrong way and you're falling, and then you go into boards that barely move. So, and you got sticks and people get sticked in the face and all this stuff. So it's like the game can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly if guys are being idiots. So like you being able to grab someone and look them in the face and be like, I'm going to drop my gloves and pump your face in if you touch me again. Again, it acts as a deterrent, and so like I do love it for juniors, college, pro, but I do have a hard time for anybody who's not being paid. Like just now, like saying I like it for juniors in college, even though I do, it's still a little bit hard for me.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's a risk to it too. When we say no concussion or like more concussions happen from cheap shots, there are still concussions that happen from fighting, and it can get scary. There's a lot of risk to it for sure. But hopefully we've given you both sides of the story here.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think. I'm sure nobody's going to have any takes on this topic here. And everybody's going to agree with everything that we said. So
share the show, DM us, let us know your thoughts.
There you go.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.